Anyway, we're all here. I'm really glad you are. Hope you've had your morning coffee, your morning exercise, your morning smoothie, and are feeling energized and ready to soak in a lot of information. I hope you're staying healthy and safe. And I know this is a really hard time for everyone, especially the shelter in place is hard. It's hard for teens, it's hard for kids to gain their footing. It's hard for anyone. What I've come to observe as a philosopher and as a student of mindfulness is that when humans lose their routines and when their future plans are disrupted, it's very unnerving. And so I'm here to help you through that, because I also know as a philosopher and a student of mindfulness that when you gain understanding, when you gain awareness of your situation, especially in the midst of a challenging time, when you're in the midst of a challenge and all of a sudden, somehow you gain this insight, you gain this new avenue, it's especially energizing. So I want to be here for you, helping you gain knowledge. Knowledge is power. Knowledge and awareness, to me, that's a form of energy, and it's a grounding energy in a time when you might feel unnerved and might feel challenged. So that's why I'm here. So feel free to post your questions in chat. I'm going to share my screen. So I'm going to talk for a little bit and then hold your questions, and then I'll attend to them. So welcome to the Rapid Response webinar on college planning and coronavirus. I'm Dr. Amy Morgenstern. In case some of you don't know me, I'm founder and CEO of Blue Stars Admissions Consulting, and I've been running Blue Stars for 10 years now. It's our 10th year anniversary this year in 2020, and that's just super exciting. We have a track record of helping our students get into top schools every year, but also best fit schools. We work with students, STEM students, humanities students, business students, art students. We work with neurodiverse students. We work with students in very special situations. So we can handle a wide array of students, and we really love every one of them as we help them grow. We have a personal growth orientation to our practice. So we love those great results, but we really love helping students become more self-reliant, gain self-efficacy, and feel really confident when they get to college. So just this year, we've had some really great results. So that's a little bit about us, and let's get into what's going on in admissions. Okay, so as I said, I'll be doing this for 20 minutes, then you'll have questions, and we'll do this again next week. Let's get through this together. I think that's the spirit. That's the spirit of our times. You know, it's hard and it's challenging, but let's think about our resources and let's rely on them. Let's note them and rely on them. So anyway, this is what we're going to be doing. These are the topics I will be presenting on every week: the impact on current seniors, the impact on current juniors, impact on summer planning, and impact on profile building. Okay, let's get started. If you would like to take screen shares, you know, just do screen grabs of these slides, that's no problem. That's perfectly fine with me, so go ahead. A lot of different information I'll be conveying to you guys. Okay, so first of all, the impact on current seniors. If you haven't heard by now, you should know that the AP exams will be going online. Okay. They just came out with the dates, May 11th through May 22nd. I have the link to the AP site in a resources slide here. You can easily Google it as well. And the cool thing is that they also have free online prep courses. So I encourage you to check that out. It's a good thing to incorporate into your teen schedule, or if you're a teen watching this, it's a good thing for you to incorporate into your schedule. As before, universities, they will accept AP credit. and they will do it on an individual basis as they do every year. If you're an IB student, IB exams are canceled. Projected grades are to be reported by April 20th. If you are wondering, if you're thinking through your school choices and you're not sure what to do, or if you're waiting on financial aid packages, about 300 schools have extended their deposit deadline to June 1st. So, and I have a list in the resources slide, and I will be conveying all of those links in my next email. So if you're not already on my email list, then shoot me an email, or you can go to our website and register there as well. Okay, so there's a list of these 300 schools. So if you're thinking through a bunch of schools, you might have a little extra time this time around. Virtual visits, most colleges are now offering virtual visits. They realize that this is the time when students who are deciding among their options are going and making trips to really get a sense of the culture and the environment. And of course, in shelter in place, that is just simply not an option. So what's happening are, I mean, they're getting their acts together. You know, if your school doesn't yet have a virtual visit, wait a day or two, wait by like the middle of next week, and they probably will. But that's what's happening now, that schools are mobilizing for these virtual visits and one-on-one web chats, and they might be one-on-one Skype chats as well. So I just wanted to show you the URL for CU Boulder, so you can see www.colorado.edu/virtual visit. That's probably how you can get information on virtual visits for the colleges that you are most interested in. So I wanted to give you that information. I know the families that we're working with are wondering, how do we decide when we can't go and visit, you know? So there's one family, I think they're thinking about Oberlin and they haven't been there. And like, Oberlin is such a magical place, and yet it's in a state that, you know, not everyone wants to go to for whatever reason. So I don't know what Oberlin is yet doing with their virtual visits. My guess is going to be good. It's a very creative place, but I just wanted to give you that information. More impact on current seniors, okay? There will be delays in financial aid offerings if you are expecting something and you haven't heard yet. However, if you have already gotten a financial aid offer, if it's, you know, a merit offer as well, universities will not revoke those offers. Going forward, however, they're going to give out less. So that's just, they're worried about their endowments. However, if you're someone who can pay in full or pay partially, you might actually have some opportunity to negotiate. So this might be a place where, not a top school, but other schools where they really want to keep up their enrollment, you might be able to negotiate if it's like a reach school for you or for your team. So I've been hearing through my channels, and I've been listening to webinars given by thought leaders, and then I'm on a number of listservs. I'm checking my timelines, and what I'm hearing, it's not a great idea to contact admissions officers this week. They do want to talk to students who have been admitted to schools, but try next week. So not this coming week, but the week after. If you'd like to get in touch with the regional officers for the schools that you're thinking about, you should totally do that. I'm sure they want to talk to you. There's going to be college in the fall. Colleges are planning to be in person. Okay, that is their plan for now. They don't think they're going to go online. They will more likely postpone, you know, starting the semester than go online. But they absolutely plan to function next year. So that will be happening. Okay, impact on current juniors. That's the most important stuff I have in seniors for now. Let's move to juniors. If you haven't heard by now, the UC suspended its SAT and ACT requirements for next year's round of admissions. In general, colleges are going to be more flexible regarding standardized tests because they realize that everyone is in the same boat. So you can see here too, the second bullet point, most colleges will go test optional. And this is just a few examples, and there's a growing list. The list is being disseminated right now through a listserv. It's not like on an actual document, but perhaps that will be more fully formed next year. Next year. Every day feels like a year. Next week. Okay, so most colleges will go test optional. You see her Pomona on the list, you see Tufts, you see Vassar. Okay. Some people will be asking, probably in chat, I already took my SAT or ACT. We have some students who did really well on the SAT or ACT this year. Will this count toward admissions? And I feel like I want to say right now, I'm not 100% sure, okay, because this is a dynamic situation. But what I am hearing is that a lot of people are still encouraging students to take the SAT or ACT, and it could be one added piece of your candidacy. I will have to keep you posted on whether schools will absolutely not look at standardized test scores or whether they will look and it will add to the case. There's often a very fuzzy line in admissions about this, so I'll just try and keep a close watch on that. So, and we can talk more in chat about that, in terms of, okay, if the SAT and ACT aren't going to have the same weight, what is going to have more weight this year? But moving on, let me give you a little bit more news. So I do want to note also for juniors, those AP exams are scheduled. They will be online for 45 minutes. And then there are those free prep courses. So I really recommend those. As far as the ACT is concerned, the April 4th test is rescheduled to June 13th. July right now is scheduled. It could shift. ACT is adding more tests in late summer. They're also accelerating their research and development on offering a remote delivery for their test. So we'll see what happens with that. The ACT is considering canceling the June exam. We don't know yet. They probably will. Okay. And they will also likely add exams later. The SAT and ACT curve is not expected to become more difficult. The AP curve is expected to become more difficult because it's free response and you can get more partial credit. So FYI on that. More on juniors. So what's happening now is that the fall semester senior year is going to become more important for admissions considerations than the spring semester junior year, obviously, because there's so much disruption. So again, what does that mean for my child? Or if you're a teen watching this, what does that mean for me? Maybe we can get into that during chat. One thing we know is that application essays will become more important. And of course, the question is, should I write my essay on my coronavirus experience? There are strongly mixed responses to that. And we can talk about that later too. So without that standardized test component, admission at selective colleges is going to become more random. We can talk about that more later. I just want to give you all the highlights and you can take your screenshots and also absorb things. At less selective colleges, however, they're going to be more worried about enrollment. So admissions is projected to be easier. And of course, if you can pay, that's just how the system is right now. So when it comes to admissions this year, your argument for fit, for demonstrated interest, that's going to become more important in your admissions case. Okay, so now about admissions deadlines. If the coronavirus situation subsides by June, then the deadlines are going to remain the same, the early deadlines as well. But if the situation continues through July, then colleges are considering pushing back deadlines. And again, in this rapid response situation, as soon as I hear news, I will report that to you. Also, expect colleges to accept more students ED. Again, they want to secure their enrollment in uncertain economic times with smaller application packages. Oops, that's a typo. With smaller sort of financial aid packages. Sorry, that's a little typo in there. Gathering a lot of information quickly. So, FYI on that. The burning question is going to be, should you write your essay about coronavirus? Should you write your essay about that experience? And there are really strongly mixed views on it. I've been listening to other admissions experts who are saying no. Admissions officers are going to be exhausted and not going to want to hear another coronavirus story. But then I listened to a webinar with the director of admissions from Davidson College, and he said, yeah, of course, like that's your experience. We want to know about you, your experience. You went through this. So strongly mixed views. And I like to say, when I work with students often, I like to say that everything is cliche and nothing is cliche. It really depends on what you do with it, right? How you make it yours. Okay, so, and we can talk about that in future sessions too. I just wanted to give you the heads up. I would say I personally err toward, yes, a coronavirus story. Your coronavirus story. And there might be many different dimensions of that story. And you have time to explore it while you're at home. Okay. Impact on summer planning. Very dynamic, and honestly, we don't have a lot of information yet, but I think in the coming weeks that will be happening. So again, I will keep you notified. But the Yale Young Global Scholars, they have canceled the on-site, the first session at the Yale campus. And I think they're sending around a questionnaire about online instruction. So I think they're exploring online instruction. They're still holding the later sessions for now, but of course that could change. Sumac at Stanford, they are going online. Dartmouth, I think is canceled, actually. You can go check that out. Summer at Brown will notify the public on the 16th of April. So FYI on that. The rest is really up in the air. We're expecting that there will be a lot of online options. So stay tuned and more to come on this. And what we're already doing with our students is we're just planning, we're just planning a coronavirus summer. That's just what we're doing. And you know, there's a lot you can do. There really is a lot. It's a different way of doing things. And as you can see in my parentheses here, sometimes plan B can be better than plan A. You know, I was trying to come up with an analogy in a session with a student this week. It was not very successful, but I've built upon it, which is this idea that plan B can sometimes be better than plan A. I asked him what his favorite meal was, and it was like a ribeye with mashed potatoes and green beans. And I tried to get him to imagine the scenario that the dog ate the ribeye. So he had to make do with stuff in his refrigerator that he didn't plan on, you know, eating for dinner. And maybe, you know, he found some alternatives, you know, that feeling sometimes you just make this magical creation from just all the stuff in your refrigerator. You get really creative and you're like, wow, I never would have made this if I wasn't forced to figure out what to do with all this sort of random stuff. So I think that's a cool, important exercise for us to go through anyway. So I'm pretty excited for planning coronavirus summers. And I have a few other blog posts before this, but we will be coming up with suggestions for coronavirus summers as well. So the impact on profile building for competitive admissions. These are just a few of my thoughts out of the gate, and this is just the beginning of an ongoing discussion that we'll be having over the next several weeks and months. But you've had no choice but to let go of conventional expectations and goals. The internship, maybe, you know, your teen was hoping, that summer program. But there really are still so many ways to convey accomplishment and character. And, you know, colleges are not necessarily as interested in these sort of objective markers as they are in how a student responds to any situation, right? That's really more of what they're looking for these days. So I feel like there are tons of ways that you can pivot and convey who you are. You see my Make Lemonade. I don't know if people know Beyonce's Lemonade album. I love it. But Make Lemonade. And colleges are going to want to see how teens make lemonade. How did they do that? They're going to want to know, what did you learn? How did you grow or change during this time? And you see my asterisks. And I've already written about this in my emails, but how did you serve? If you are a teen and you're aiming for a top college, if you're a parent and you're thinking, that's where I want my child to land, that last bullet point, how did you serve? That's become more and more important over the last 7 or 8 years, I would say, in admissions. But now, you know, with the pandemic and with our lives changing so rapidly, they're really going to want to see that. At Blue Stars, I've come up with our own sort of methodology and configuration, and one of the pieces of that is the 7 key traits of admissions distinction. So I think this provides a really handy, helpful framework, like how can I help my child get through this in a way that he or she does really well in admissions. Make sure your child can exhibit, you know, these traits: character, collaboration, creativity, challenge, curiosity, commitment, and cultural intelligence. I have a blog post on that, so you can go to my website at bluestars.us and look at the discussion of that specifically. And we can keep talking about that. So there are resources here. This Forbes article is also really wonderful. I read it very quickly before this webinar. So again, there's just tons of information. So I'll be drawing on this a little bit more next week. Here's also an open source list of admissions events and deposit dates. I have a URL for that. I'll put that in the follow-up email as well. Okay. So that's all I have for you now, and I'm going to stop sharing my screen so I can see the chats and see your questions, and I'm going to answer as many of them as I can. I really hope this has been. Okay, there are a lot of questions. Yes, I am recording this now, and I hope to have a recording out, I would say, on Monday. I've been working all week getting all this stuff together for people, so I'm going to take a little time off, definitely tomorrow. And I'm not sure when the recording will be ready. So yes, recording will be out through my regular email that I send out to people. And if you don't get that, either send me an email or just go onto the website and sign up for the email. My daughter, I'm going to read, okay, somebody sent me something privately, so I cannot read that one. To that mom, I will respond to you privately later. Okay, the UCs have announced that they will make the SAT optional. What is your recommendation for a current junior if you have not been able to take the SAT yet? When they say optional, it means that they still accept scores. So if you don't submit a score, won't they assume it's bad? If you will only be able to take it once in the fall, what is your recommendation? What kind of score should be submitted? And below, what score is it better not to submit at all? I hope that's a long question. There are a bunch of components. And I can tell you right now what I'm hearing among thought leaders, and I'm still absorbing this. And I think that there's still more information to get. This used to be a question about SAT 2s. You know, when Pomona, for example, says, oh, the SAT 2 is optional, then should my child take it or not and send the scores? And I have actually directly asked Pomona, and I never got a good response. Okay, so part of the problem is that there isn't always clarity on the admissions side as to whether they're really absolutely not looking at those scores, or they're letting these extra submissions of things add to a student's case. So I don't yet have a clear answer to that, and I don't want to pretend that I do. What is being encouraged is, if you think you're going to do well, take it. Take the standardized test. You asked what kind of score below. It depends, like, you know, what do I mean by doing well? That's hard for me to say because it depends on what kind of schools your child is shooting for. So I can't really say. If you by well for a top 20 school, I would say for a top 20 school, you want a 1500 and you want 33 on the ACT. So right now, like, the mood and the trend among admissions professionals is, yes, keep, you know, studying for it, wait for the fall and take it so that you have it, especially if you're aiming for a top 20 school. I might change the message over a few weeks if, you know, maybe the universities will make a pact with each other. You know, I don't know. It's such an unusual situation. So right now we are recommending that students still prepare for standardized exams and still try to do their best. So hopefully that's helpful enough now. If not, you can also privately message me, email me, and I will continually, you know, be absorbing your questions and then bringing them back to the next session. I have a question. Has the U.S. college admission experienced this? Have we ever experienced this scenario before? And I think the answer is no. Granted, I've been doing admissions for like 13 years now. Usually, like, the big upsets were like the change in the Common App essay, things like that, the change in topics, that was an upheaval. The change in length of the Common App essay, that was irritating. But nothing quite this this level of challenge and uncertainty. And it's a time when people really are in constant communication, trying to figure out what to do. So that's interesting as well. I have a question about the impact for a music conservatory school. I do not have the answer to that, and I will put that out to my networks. And Helen, I know Helen is hanging out, helping me out, taking notes. So just remind me, Helen, to pose that to the listserv. I can't answer that right now. Okay, I have a question about sports privately. I will get to that privately. IB students and how this will impact their admissions. So it sounds like this is a mom who's got a junior who is an IB student. I don't have the answer for the juniors yet. And again, let me go to my listserv and ask about that. But you know, if your child is a junior, then he or she will still have the chance to do the extended essay, and then should be able to do the IB exams next year. So it probably will be similar to just the more conventional American curriculum, and that the fall semester senior year is going to count more than the spring semester junior year, but I'll see if I can get more details on that. What is my view? Let me see here. In the fall semester of senior year, will there be more emphasis on academics, both in general? Honestly, both in general, and I really do think that a lot of the emphasis will be on what did you do during the coronavirus time? And I've written about this in my emails, and I will continue to do this. I feel like this is a message that just, it bears repeating, because frankly, for everyone, it's easy to just, you know, binge Netflix or YouTube, and when you know, this sheltering at home, and you don't have this sense of routine, it's easy, but really doing things is the best thing your child can do for successful admissions. And doing things could be like, if you have younger children and your teen is tutoring your younger children, it could be things at home. It could be that your teen has taken over family meals or mowing the lawn. I don't know what, I'm just whatever, you know. It also can be that your teen is taking up some of these volunteering activities, or figuring out a way to connect with their peers in support groups. Or so, yes, senior year academics is going to be important, extracurriculars is going to be important, but what will also be important is the things that happen before them as well. So, also, of course, in terms of a timeline, because now that fall semester senior year is going to be important while either you, if you're watching and you're a teen, or your teen is applying to college, that's a lot at once. So of course, now that there's time, you want to start front loading the admissions process now. And I will start talking about that in the coming weeks, but that's just a little much for today. Oh, private mom who keeps responding to me privately told me I can read her questions out loud. Cool, thank you. Let me get back here. Hold on with her questions. And I know there's a question about SAT-2 tests. I'll get back to that. Okay, sophomore planning to take the test prep for a fall ACT date. Should she delay solely due to for her? I don't think you should delay. Now, a sophomore, you should, you know, because again, the curve isn't going to be hard or anything. I think if you're a sophomore and you're planning to take the exam, the ACT in the fall, yeah, definitely. Definitely. For current sophomores, what do I think the fallout would be when it comes their time to apply? Well, not knowing exactly, you know, like New York hasn't exactly hit the peak yet, so it's a little hard for me to predict. But I think, again, you know, top schools are going to want to know, what did you do during this time? How did you cope? How did you handle things? How did you contribute? How did you serve? And then how did you sort of just, you know, get back on your feet, you know? So I know that we've been talking with students about different ways to do, you know, students who are athletes, you know, and we're planning all sorts of extracurriculars, not just their sports activity, but like fundraising activity, volunteering activities around sports. And we've been thinking about different ways in which you can do like challenges in your backyard and try to raise money for you know, something akin to like an ice bucket challenge, but maybe doing it connected to like the sport you're interested in. You know, how many times you can keep, you know, a volleyball up in the air, and earn a certain amount of money based on that for a local shelter, a local food pantry, food, you know, things like that. So it's right now, sophomores have the least to worry about. It's, you know, the juniors, and the juniors have a lot of adjusting, and then they have this pile on in the senior year that I'm hoping, now that we're talking about this now, you can plan proactively and start doing some other things now. Let me see here. I hope I didn't miss another. The college recruiting landscape for athletes. I hope you will let me have a week to query more. I would rather give you an informed answer on that. So I'll get back on athletics. And I believe I sent out, there is an email about athletics and a session on it. Would it be possible to retake junior year? That's an interesting question. I have not seen any discussion about that. My guess is that schools will want to sort of keep moving people along the conventional timeline. If I hear anything about that, there is talk about gap years for students who wanted to maybe wait to go, or they go to college. But that is all, oops, I'm hearing, somebody should be muted. Okay. So I haven't heard about retaking junior year. Okay, subject tests. Let me see what else. Oh, wait lists. Okay. Do you expect more movement off wait lists this year? There are more people who have been put on, the wait lists are larger this year. So yes, more movement, but yes, there's more people. So that is hard to say. I have had parents ask me, it seems like there will be pretty slim chances on the wait list. Is it worth my child's time to do this? And so I have an answer that's just not necessary. It's taking the data into account, but it's not data based, it's more human based. And I feel like if that was a dream school for your child and your child was put on the wait list, I feel like I want your child never to regret not trying, So I suggest put the effort into maybe not every school, but the schools where that person really, 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 really wanted to go to that school, and give it a shot, because it's also sort of random. Things are more random. And we've had students get off the wait list in like late July. Like I never give up ever. I'm built that way, and that's what we convey to the people we work with. So don't drive yourselves crazy, maybe writing to every school you've been waitlisted, but like the top 2, I say give it a shot, So that's my advice on that. Should students, okay, subject test. Okay. My feeling about subject tests is if they can fortify something else. So for example, if in this instance, and there hasn't been a lot of conversation about this yet, but if you're doing math right now, and maybe you're doing pass-fail, that's the way it's working out, I think a subject test could be a really good thing. And that's something you can put in additional information of an application, and that can add to your case. I don't know what policies there are around, what admissions officers will accept in terms of standardized tests, but it's something you can add, and it's something that you can offer as like further certification or fortification in a subject area. So I think that would be a really good route to go. Let me see, anything else? If you guys are looking for opportunities for how your child can serve, or if you're a teen watching this and you want to know how you can serve, we have a list. So email me. It's something also that we put out in our email. So either give me your email address or just email, say, hey, can I have that list? Okay, I think I've gotten through all of the questions at this point, and we've gone for 45 minutes. I don't want to go too long because I want the media to be, so that I can upload it and provide recordings. So I think I'm going to end there for now. And I just want to say that I hope this was helpful. And I've got you guys on my mind all of the time. I'm really trying to gather as much as I can and then funnel it through these presentations and emails. So I hope you feel more grounded. I hope you have more ideas. And I want to wish you the best this week with covering yourself with a mask and social distancing and getting along with your family members and resting, getting enough rest, staying healthy, eating well. That's the best we can do right now in this fight. So wishing you a wonderful week. And I'm looking forward to seeing you again next week. And I will include the password too. So thanks for your patience. Thank you so much. Have a great week. Take care. Bye.
Thank you.